Hello, hello. Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. Today, we're joined by Roger Einstoss, the co-founder and CEO of Braintly. Roger, welcome to the show.
Hey, how everyone? Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about what you do and what your background is?
Yeah, well, I'm Roger. I'm 36 years old. I was born and raised in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I come from the south of Latin America. I co-founded my company Braintly almost 12 years ago. At Braintly, we define ourselves as a software development company that help US-based companies to build their engineering teams in Latin America. So we have been working with founders, entrepreneurs, medium-sized companies in the US for all of these years, helping them creating digital products, building teams, leading those teams, facing the challenges that you always have when it comes to be working with latest things of technology. So that's a brief resume.
Awesome, awesome. And when you founded this company 12, 13 years ago, what kind of gap in the market did you see that made you want to launch a company yourself?
Well, this was back in 2012, and we saw the opportunity of selling development services from Argentina to the US, primarily because of the cost efficient and the good pricing that you can get when you come to Latin America to hire engineering, and also because in those times many like good startups were like starting in Argentina especially. We have some of the best unicorns in Latin America. The first unicorn from Latin America was created in 2000. It was created in 1999, but it became a unicorn in 2010, I think, something like that. It's Mercado Libre. It's one of the biggest companies in Latin America. So we realized that the country was creating amazing technical talent, because if you want people that are ready to work with this kind of top-notch companies, you must create great talent. So we thought, okay, we have an opportunity, we have great talent, we have some things that are really different from another parts of the globe, and also we have this opportunity of selling these kind of services to the US because of the cultural alignment, the time zone. We can talk about this later. So we were just developers. That's the truth. I'm a software engineer. I was a developer. I only knew how to write code, but I didn't have any idea on how to run a company. But we just started.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of along this journey, starting as a software engineer, as you've learned to grow and build a company, what do you think is kind of your biggest takeaway so far? What's one thing you wish you knew a little earlier?
Wow, too much things. It's difficult to say at least three, but definitely something that I learned is that being an entrepreneur is not as everyone think is. I mean, most of my friends are working like in a 9 to 5 job, and they tell me no, because you have your own company, you do what you want, you don't have bosses. And I always try to explain that it's not like that you have to work really hard to get things done, and not just when you are creating the company. Right now, 12 years later, I'm living in Argentina, but I'm going to the US 6-7 times a year, like talking with clients. You have clients that just gone, and you need to get new clients, and that's the business, that's the real life. So it's tough. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned, that it's not everything like a dream come true. And also another thing that I learned is this thing of the importance of being connected to the ecosystem. I spent many times not talking with other entrepreneurs because I don't know why, because I was shy or I didn't know how to do it. And a couple of years ago, I started doing that, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's amazing when you can talk with a competitor, but being like a colleague and being like transparent, vulnerable, honest, you start learning amazing things.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. And that's something I've heard while speaking with other founders, just the power of your network and how much it just changes the game as an entrepreneur, especially as you're starting a company. Obviously, you've been in for 12, 13 years now, but I'm sure once you've unlocked that trait, unlocked that skill, that it's probably changed the trajectory of your business.
Yeah.
And Roger,
Definitely.
as you've started your company in Argentina, you're from Argentina. You mentioned some of the similarities between the U.S. culture and the Argentinian culture. One thing I'm fascinated by is kind of that international marketing. How do you go about kind of, especially early days, breaking into a new market and explaining your value proposition?
We have uh, we had a little lack, I would say, with that because as we were talking about before this conversation, the similarities between the U.S. culture and Argentinian culture, it's really huge. Even more when it comes to way of we think the work and the sense of responsibility, so many things. So we were prepared to work with the US, but the first challenge was okay, how can we get our first client? And the opportunity came by a friend of mine who was working as a product manager for a company in San Francisco in Silicon Valley. So we started playing in the big league, and he told me, "Hey Roger, we need a developer. So do you want to provide us that developer?" And I remember that first I was terrified, but a second after that I thought, okay, this is it. I mean, this is my opportunity. I have to do it. I have to jump. So we told, okay, of course, I won, and we started. And that was our first client in the US, and that client brings another. And in my type of company, the referral snowball is 90% of the business. The word of mouth, people that talk about you, an intro that someone give you. So that was the first big game for us in the US, but it's still hard. We have some people. We have a partner in the team that it's based in New York, and that's making things like easier for us because we have a physical person. I always tell the clients or the prospects that we have someone that you can go and yell at if you feel angry. That a real person. We are not just an Argentinian company. We are an American company. But yeah, it's a challenge because the market always change. It's not something static.
Yeah. And you mentioned the power of referrals in the software development space. How do you go about navigating that space in such a competitive market? Of course, referrals are great. Is there any other kind of marketing strategies you have to break through the noise?
Yeah, we tried many things. I don't have the answer. I think nobody. But we try doing inbound, outbound, going to events, being speaker at events. At the end of the day, it's all about your network. So when we go to events, for instance, we are not looking for getting a new client from the event. We are looking to meet someone and start creating a relationship. Same things happen with podcasts. When you are hosting one or you are a guest, it's not about that you, Oliver, will be my client. It's okay, we have this conversation, or we meet in Cleveland in an event, and we start developing a relationship, and we know how to help each other, and eventually things will happen. So that's our main strategy, trying to be really transparent, trying to help. When we have an intro that we know that we can do it, or we are not the best fit, saying, hey, we are not the best fit for you for this opportunity, so I can help you connecting with someone else. And we had some success stories of people that we told them, hey, we are not the right fit for this moment, and they came back, I know, 2 years later saying, hey, I remember you because you were the only one who told me the truth, and who told me that this project wasn't going to be 6 months and it was going to be, I know, a year. So always being transparent, because I always say that world is really small.
Yeah, especially in that space. People are rarely just talking to one software.
In every space. I mean, if you're a doctor, probably in your space, it's really small. If you're a lawyer, but yeah. Well, we met today, and you are based in Cleveland, and I told you that we have clients in Cleveland, and I usually go to Cleveland, and that's a real demonstration of the size of the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I do like that, is just when you're building relationships, especially kind of as you're trying to build a business, the power of transparency, the power of providing value, even when it's to no benefit of you, it goes a long way in the long run.
Yeah, definitely.
And as the space has grown, obviously AI's become a massive part. We got to address the elephant in the room. Are prospects starting to chat to you about AI in software development? What does that look like?
This is a big topic. I think nobody knows exactly what will happen, but I can tell you that every client and every prospect that I have, they are talking about the AI because they feel that they need to do something with AI, because otherwise they will die or the world will explode. We are using AI with our clients, but not necessarily for developing like features with AI. We are using AI for our like processes. The same things that I think most of the digital companies are using, like Cursor, GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, Cloud, like different tools that help us improve the process. We are also using AI in the recruiting process, different kind of tools to make the sourcing, the screening, some part of the technical interviews. We are also now testing with our testing team, with our QA team. We are testing new applications, and this week, this is something really new. This week we discovered with an application that the same test that a person did in 1 hour with a tool, and that person, the same person, did it in 5 minutes. So this is amazing because we can deliver more value in the same time, or being more cost efficient. Maybe I know right now we say, hey, you need at least 40 hours a month of a QA, and maybe with these tools we are able to sell only 20 hours. So it will be cheaper for you, or we can do even more with the same 40 hours. So that's where we are in terms of AI, but nobody knows. We are all in the same boat, trying to understand how this thing will change the game. It will change the game for sure. That's the most important thing, and we all have to be aware of that.
Yeah, it's most definitely a game changer. And Roger, obviously, you're a co-founder, CEO. You got to look ahead a little bit. In the long run, do you see AI being a threat? Do you see it being an opportunity? How do you see it playing out in the software development space?
What I always say is that a threat, it's also an opportunity, for sure, always. So it's both, and we have to think about AI about a friend, because I mean it's something that it's just happening. It's not the future, it's the present. So if you, as a company, as a developer, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as any professional, if you refuse to embrace AI, I'm like 99% sure that you will be obsolete as a professional in a couple of years. I mean, it's like using Microsoft Excel probably 30 years ago. 30 or 40 years ago, someone who knew how to use Excel probably was like someone, wow, a techie guy. And now using spreadsheets, it's something that everyone needs to know how to use it for any job. I think the same will happen with AI. Maybe my aunt or my grandma, they don't know right now how to use ChatGPT, but the grandmas of the future will need to know how to use it. I mean, my parents know how to use the computer. They use WhatsApp, the iPhone, email, and that was insane 20 years ago. I remember when I created my first email, I was 10 years old, 11, something like that, and they told me in my house we used to have a fax. I'm not sure if fax it's the same word in Spanish than in English, but
Yeah.
well, so we used to have a fax, and I think we both have the same age or in the same generation, and we lived that thing, the cassette, the Walkman, the Discman, the fax, but also living the AI era. So we all need to transform our lives using AI. Otherwise, we will be like, I know, a Commodore 64 in 5 years.
No, obsolete. No, and for sure. And there's been so many examples of shifts like that, even just from going to a typewriter to a computer to a laptop, even a laptop to a phone, you could argue. It's just a big shift. Just there's been so much evolution. It's just with AI, it's over the past couple of years, how much it's grown, how much it's become a hot topic. It's almost impossible to not talk about it at this point and hopefully adapt for most people as well.
Yeah.
And Roger, with that kind of technological shift, how do you feel it's kind of shifted? You've obviously been in the software development space for 12 years. Have you seen anything like this before?
No, definitely not. I mean, I used to be a software developer. I started coding when I was 15, so 21 years writing code. I don't write code anymore, but I can still see a code and understand what the code is doing. And in these 20 years changed, but most of the times like adding frameworks and making the developers' life easier. But this time, the last 2 years, I mean, I met people like marketing guys, people that are not technological people that can create a website using V0 or Webflow or Bubble or whatever. So, and it's a challenge, you know. I have friends who are running companies that they do like websites, and they have to, they should be thinking, okay, what I'm going to do in 5 years, because eventually my grandma will be able to create a website using V0, and eventually that will happen also for us that sell like a more sophisticated type of developer. I think it's far in the time, but nobody can imagine how the world will be in 10 years. Yesterday I was talking with a friend. I have a 6-year-old child, and I was talking about how the world will be in 15 years or 40 years in terms of university. I mean, he will be going to the university in 15 years, and we were discussing about, okay, but will it be necessary to go to university in 15 years? Will it be useful to know another language? I mean, English is my second language, my native language is Spanish, and will it be necessary to know how to speak English in 10 years? And nobody knows. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a kind of back to the future.
Yeah, you've got the AirPods in. That could be a auto translator in 15 years.
Yeah, and it will happen. Mm-hmm. We don't know if that will happen in 2 years or 20, but it will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's
for sure.
It's crazy just to think, especially that far ahead. Just if you look back 30, 40 years, just how much has changed technology-wise. To look forward, it's only going to compound even more. So.
Yeah.
And Roger, we don't have to look out too far in advance with technology. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but let's say we look a year out. What happens for Braintly over the next 12 months? What's the goal?
Then our next goal is to keep pushing our barriers in the US, and still our main goal is help as many companies as we can, especially in the East Coast because time zone is even better, and spread the word about all the things that this region, that Latin America can give to US companies. Most of the times I found myself talking more with a prospect, talking more about the benefits of the region than talking about my company. Because I sell software, developers. If you're a CTO, you know that you need a React Native developer. That's all. We don't have too much to talk about. But many times people tell me, hey, I didn't know that Buenos Aires is only 1 hour ahead of New York in terms of time zone, for instance. So one of my goals as a company is help more companies to enjoy and take advantage of all the things that we as a region, as a country can give. And it's, a double way avenue that will help my company, but also will help the ecosystem, will help the companies in the US, but also will help the companies here in Argentina. So that's my mission for the next year.
It's a win-win.
For the next years, I would say.
Yeah. No, it's a win-win. I like the vision, Roger. I truly do. And
thanks.
That's all I got for you today. So where can the people find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. I think that my name will appear in the names in the name of the episode, and also through the web. If I have my direct email in the web, that many times creates a lot of spam in my inbox, I have to admit. But also I receive really good emails from founders that say, hey, I want to talk about this or that. But the best way is LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn trying to tell about how I run the company, about my life, my professional life. So it's the best way. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to link all that down in the description for the people listening. But Roger, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. Good to see you.
It's been my pleasure.